Yeah, so if you can stop focusing on what everybody else is doing and just put your head down and just keep grinding it out, then things are going to find you. Hey guys, welcome back to my Epique Journey. My name is Brandon DeVere, and thank you as always for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I do appreciate that. Here we are, journey from 600 to 0, back to 600 plus, and day in, day out, just keeping you guys filled in on what's been going on. You know what? It's easy to get caught up in what's going on around you and what other people are doing, and you know, in something like Epique Realty, it's so new. I'm getting, people are growing super fast, and you're trying to look and keep up with everybody and be like, oh man, I need to go faster. And a few weeks ago, I kind of decided, I needed to stop focusing on what everyone else was doing and start doing what I need to do. And that's kind of where this was brought from, because my goal is not only for myself to grow 600 and beyond, but within that time, my ultimate goal is much, much more than that. But it also has to do with the people that I can bring along with me as well. So the idea, that number of 600 is not going to be me recruiting, attracting, whatever you want to call it, 600 myself, right? That's going to be a lot of help from other people. That's going to be me helping a lot of other people. So the ultimate goal is actually a little bit more of a a collaborative effort than it is just all these massive teams that you see on these in the agent attraction, the rev share platform. That's a little different style than a traditional team. But when you're doing this, you're having people that you might not even know help build your team. But within that, there's other little goals that you can put in there. So for me, for me to get to get to 600 plus, I mean, I can look at it a couple different ways. One is that I want to get 10 people 60 of their own, right? So as I get in and want to do those type of things, I want to help them essentially. So do what I do to help them. So we talk about, if it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't matter. And if in that sense, it is that I will need to find things that are duplicatable. Like if you make it too complex, you make it too difficult, it's going to be, and they can't replicate it. It's too difficult. Like you have to, I'm not saying dumb it down, but simplify. Where, I had somebody ask me today, hey, what's your podcast gear? Like what's the setup? I want to set up a podcast at home. What do I need to do? And what's funny is that, I'm recording with my phone with a $60 microphone. And, I got a couple lights here. Again, we talked about me doing all this, but all in, I'm in for this gear right here for under $500. And there's a reason for that. Like I could go out and get brand new mics, all this stuff, and make it look super legit. But how many people are going to replicate that? Right. So yeah, I did do some cool stuff back here, but this background doesn't matter. It's not necessary. It is essentially, you have your phone. Like it's not even a cost for anything. Sorry, it is not an additional cost. Most everyone already has a phone. You don't need to go grab a brand new camera. If you have a microphone, I mean, that's probably what I would invest in, some sort of microphone, just so it still sounds clear and okay. And then just some lighting. One of my good friends, Chris, he owns a content studio out here, Vegas Content Studio. Shout out if you're around Vegas and you need some podcast work or content creation. He has an awesome studio over down off Sunset and Antioquia. It's a cool setup, and I've had I've done some stuff there, but he just said, hey, make sure you have good lighting. And I actually talked to him today, and he's like, make sure that if you're using your phone, make sure that you wipe off the lens. So I thought that was pretty funny. But the reason that I wanted to bring up, well, first of all, that's what I'm doing to duplicate. I want to make things that anybody can do. Anybody can do this right here. Anybody can turn their camera on and talk into it for 10, 15 minutes at a time and upload it to YouTube. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Anybody can do it. I was in a class today that was a social media mastermind or social media masterclass. And what's funny is that what I love about learning and going to these things is that I went in there today and most of the stuff I already knew. And I figured that would be the case. And even the instructor said, this is very elementary. Like which was actually funny. Let me back up for a second. What was funny is that my instructor I taught a class on AI a few months ago. And turns out my instructor was at that class, or she was at that class, and then she instructed today. But the cool thing is she's showing very, very elementary things, but it's also back to the basics, right? Where we veer off often. from the basics, and we try to make things so overly complicated. And so she said a lot of things, a couple of different things. One is that she basically told us to, well, I'll come back to that in just a second, but very basic. I learned a bunch of stuff. It was things that I had known before, but forgot about. And then it's like, oh yeah, keep doing that. And then a couple new things that I never even thought about, considering one that, or, sorry, in addition, one of the things that she taught to us was about your friends list on Facebook. So we just did strictly Facebook today. And in this Facebook class, she's talking about who our friends are, like who's seeing, like the algorithm is not only what you're interacting with on Facebook, but also the people you choose to connect with. And that was very interesting. And she was like, basically, if you are a real estate agent and you're looking for client leads, you don't want to connect with other real estate agents, maybe out of state, and just so you have like referral opportunities. So you might pop up in their feed and stuff like that. But other than that, like, stay away from them. For myself, I'm more interested in connecting with real estate agents. So I do have real estate agents on there, but in my real estate, in the real estate agents of that, there's also a bunch of Epique agents. And we have our own social media platform that we can use within the company, which we can all communicate there. But I started getting a ton of Facebook requests from Epique agents. And I was like, I don't know if I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, if I wanted to accept all these. And I had already accepted a bunch, but I was like, if I just get a bunch of Epique agents on here, I'm just going to be sharing. They're the only ones going to be seeing my stuff. Like I want other people to see my stuff and go, hey, I like what that guy's doing. I like what he's saying. Like what is, Brandon, maybe I want to reach out to him and say, hey, what's up or whatever. So I started going through, and one of the things is she's like, say goodbye to your friends. And so I'm still in the process of cleaning it up, but I was going through, and it felt at first like kind of like, I don't know, rude or mean or something, like to unfriend somebody. Like I don't think they get notified or anything like that, but it is like you click it and you're like, all right, well, do I want to see what they have to say? And then reminding myself that we're connected on other platforms. So it doesn't always need to be on Facebook as well. So for that platform, that's, I guess it has more to do because it's not your followers, and like anybody can follow you. It doesn't mean that you're following them back. So the algorithm doesn't get hit, as much that way. But anyways, in addition to that, when I'm talking about like keeping your head down and paying attention to your own stuff, is it, if you put your head down and like you're in a field or whatever, you just put your head down and then you just continue to walk. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh, I went all that way. It's not just constantly like you're wanting, they say, a watch pot never boils, right? So as you're sitting here, like watching every moment, you're like, man, that's so far away where I want to go. But if you just put your headphones on, look down and just plow through. And then like 5 minutes later, you look up and you're like, oh man, look how far I made it. That's kind of what's been going on right now. And different things are like presenting themselves just by kind of staying in my lane and doing, hey, this is just focus on you. You don't need to be like, I do check other people for like inspiration, things like that. I went through some YouTube videos, looked for like at thumbnails, looked at all that stuff. But overall, I can't keep like trying to compare, see what they got going on, see if there's something that, that I can draw inspiration from and do that and move forward. And the reason that I say that is that I may or may not have a pretty, pardon the pun, epic announcement coming out in the next week or two. But I was approached with something that I really don't, I'm not sure how I can say no. And so it's kind of cool and refreshing is that when you kind of get rewarded for just putting in the work and just showing up, like, what do they say? Like 90% of, winning or whatever is showing up, or success or whatever, showing up. And, it's true in certain cases. I mean, there's some things you can't just show up and do nothing. But if you show up and you put in work and people start to recognize it, and it's a weird thing too, because when people, I don't know, I've always had a tough time receiving compliments And I don't know what it is. I'm probably should be on somebody's couch somewhere, explaining away my thoughts. But, for a long time, I've had a tough time receiving compliments and certain things like, I wrote a book. And when I set out to do it, in my mind, I've always been like, hey, I'm going to, if I want to go do something, I'm going to do it. And when it's done, it's just like, all right, what's the next thing to do? And I'm really bad at, celebrating, they tell you to celebrate the wins, like the mini wins and things like that. Like right now, this should be episode 13, I think. So, I mean, that's most podcast episodes. I think the average is like 6 or 7 podcasts that actually get through. And so now I'm double that. Like that should be like a mini win. I should be like excited about it, but it just feels like, hey, I'm just doing the next. It feels like I'm just doing one. And that is, it's a win. It is a win. I should be more excited about it. But when other people like put an interest in you and they want you, like I was approached, I'll after everything's done, whether or not I decide to move forward, I'll let you know and let you know what it was or is. And, but when I was approached with it yesterday, like the first meeting was in the morning, and then we had another meeting that went, it was a phone call meeting to begin with, and then a meeting that went from like 3 until 8 o'clock at night. And I wasn't even home until almost 9 last night, discussing this. And we had another call about it today. But how it was brought to me was like, hey, I don't want to insult you with this offer, but is this something you'd be interested in? And I was like, insult me. And what's funny is that I'm pretty open. Like I'll listen to pretty much anything. Obviously we've seen, I was at EXP, 600 plus agents. And at first I was like, no, I'm not interested, but let's hear about it. And so that's kind of how that unfolded. I'm pretty good about not just shutting things down. Cause I did that for a long time, super long time. Even when EXP was announced to me or brought to me, I was like, nope, it sounds like KW. I don't want anything to do with KW. And I had no real reason to not want anything to do with KW either. It was just some like chip on my shoulder for some reason. Anyways, it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of cool and exciting when someone reaches out to you and they feel that you have something that they want and something that other people would want as well. And they want to partner with you in a certain way that would enhance the lives of other people, enhance the families, or those people and their families. So that may show up. And again, that was just me keeping my head down, just doing my thing, keep moving forward. And then all of a sudden, boom, here's just opportunity pops up. And you don't have to take every opportunity. You don't have to be jumping all in on everything. I mean, I've done a bunch of different things over the past couple of years by just, hey, let's see what happens here. Things like that. So just, keep your head down. And when the opportunities do present themselves, be ready. Not necessarily be ready to say yes every time, but just be ready. And we'll go over in the future. I'll talk about, the conversation that I had with my dad a few years ago about opportunity and what makes up an opportunity. But until then, this is Friday. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I may or may not be back tomorrow. Just so you know, I'm committed to do this 5 days a week. And if I get them knocked down Monday through Friday, I'll take the weekends off. But if I decide I want to jump on and talk on the weekend, which very well could be, I'll do that as well. I have a late football game tomorrow. We have football pictures, things like that. And then we have a Sunday day off. I mean, we have the Pro Bowl or whatever. But after that, we'll be having the Super Bowl. So I will see you guys either tomorrow, Sunday, or maybe on Monday. Have a great one.